Welcome back to the Real Life Moms podcast, where we take a much needed break from the chaos of parenting to focus on ourselves and rediscover who we truly are. I'm Lisa Foster, your host, and today I'm here with June Edward. She is an author, a teacher, a psychic medium who has worked on a number of missing person cases, as well as many well-known paranormal groups. And today is here to help us answer the question, why are we here? So, June, I am so excited to talk to you today.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Well, I'm obviously fascinated by your background, and I'm sure the listeners are as well. So maybe you could share a little bit with us about just your psychic medium abilities and how that's kind of influenced your life.
Sure. So it's interesting. They say the average person changes their career path at least 5 times. And I think I was constantly reinventing myself. I had a lot of psychic ability as a child. I was very afraid of it. Didn't know that everyone couldn't see what I saw or hear what I heard, and blocked it for the better part of my life. I grew up with a dad in business, grew up with a very dysfunctional family, and was in business basically my whole life. And you never knew what direction it was going to take me. I started out as a trained chef because I had to cook for a family of 5 when my parents split up. My dad actually kidnapped the youngest 5 of us. And so I learned how to cook from the age of 10 and, went to school to be a trained chef and then private chef. So I owned restaurants. And then from there, I ended up also learned cosmetology at a very young age because a friend of mine's wife wanted me to buy her business when I was old enough. So down the road, where do I end up? Back in the cosmetology field and owning a very high-end day spa, and then opening a sports bar and opening 2 daycare centers because I didn't have any decent daycare for my kids. So you never know where life is going to take you. It's very interesting, and never in my wildest dreams did I think that I would be doing what I am doing today. Being afraid of my abilities stopped me from using them most of my life, except I did learn how to listen to that intuition, which is your psychic ability. That's your soul. And when I opened my first daycare center, I was running a restaurant at the time and couldn't find decent daycare for my son. And it just hit me that I need to open a daycare center because there's no good daycare around here. And I had no money, I had no experience in it, and no early childhood education on top of that. And I just kept hearing, I have to do this. I have to do this. I know this is what I'm supposed to do. And I followed it through and ended up opening a 5,000 square foot facility licensed for 125 kids. I had 5 kids when I opened and 3 of them were mine. And then I had to go on and get my early childhood education so I could actually be the kindergarten teacher and the preschool teacher and go get my bus driving license so I could drive the bus to pick up the kids after school. And it's like the cart drove the horse instead of the horse driving the cart.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get in touch with your soul and listen to that inner voice, it will always take you where you're supposed to be. And about 10 years ago, I was going through my second divorce and having a lot of difficulty in my business. And I was making decisions out of haste and out of desperation because I was short-staffed and the economy was terrible. And I went to a Reiki practitioner to have some relaxation, and she recommended that I meditate. And I'm like, there's no way in the world I can meditate. I'm running 5 businesses at this point. Like, I can't do this. First time I meditated, it was like they kicked the doors into the other side and I could not shut it off. I went into my first client, walked in the door, and I'm like, did your aunt recently die? And she's like, yeah, how'd you know? And I'm like, I have no idea how I know. Did you just clean her house out? She goes, yeah, last weekend we cleaned the house out. I'm like, oh, any chance you found one of those sock puppets that looks like a monkey from the 1950s? She goes, yeah, we found one in the attic. And I'm freaking out at this point. And it just continued and continued. I had to find someone to help me shut it off because I couldn't turn it off. And I spent a year and a half in training, understanding my abilities and how to work with them and understand who I'm talking with, and then understanding how energy works, because everything's about energy. Our soul is pure energy. And we're like magnets. We're always either attracting or repelling at any given time. And that's now what I do. I teach people how energy works. and how to get in touch with their soul so that they can make those decisions in life and put themselves on the path that they're supposed to be on instead of struggling with the why in hell am I here?
And I love that concept of energy. I think some people are really familiar with it, probably that are listening, and some people have no idea what you're talking about. So I'm going to ask you to do something probably that's pretty impossible, but in the simplest way, can you explain energy and how that kind of works?
Absolutely. So everyone's walked into a wedding or birthday party and felt the energy in the room, right? And then everyone's also walked into a funeral and seen everybody crying and felt that low energy, right? So we feel energy, and our soul is too big for this body. So some of it's stuffed in our body, some of it's over our body. People see it as an aura over our head. That's the energy that they're saying there. And then the majority of your soul is actually in the fifth dimension, which is the lowest level of heaven. And that orchestrates all the timing of the events that happen in your life. So when we're in 3D here, when you go to sleep at night, that's 4D, your dream state. And the lowest level of heaven is 5D. So when you go to sleep at night, you actually raise your vibration, your energy level raises, and you go into that 4D dream state. So if you're not connecting to your soul through meditation during the day, the only way they can contact you from the other side is through your dream state. So you'll know it's a visit and not a dream because it seems like it's real. You wake up right away and you remember it. That's a visit from the other side. So they're energetic beings on the other side. So I died at the age of 27 and I came back here by choice. But if you look at quantum physics, the speed of light is over 300 million miles a second. How fast is that energy traveling? And I went to heaven basically at that speed. So now when I came back into my body at that speed, my vibration is automatically much higher than most people. This is why I believe I can connect to the other side so quickly. And it has enhanced my abilities 1,000-fold. But when you learn how energy works, you don't get tripped up in life. You know, you'll automatically be able to read people. If somebody walks in the room, you know right off the bat if they're somebody that's there for nefarious reasons, because you can feel that low energy on them, or someone that you want to be around because you can feel that high energy from them. And kind likes attract. So remember that. This is where the law of attraction comes in. When you raise your vibration and you become the magnet that is attracting, you start bringing the things into your life that you want. But remember that everything in the universe has to stay in balance. For every high, there's a low. So if you don't understand how to balance your energy, you're going to crash. And this is where people fail on the law of attraction when they're attracting from energy. Is they don't balance their energy and it has to stay balanced, so they crash and they lose it all. So that's the other thing that I teach people is how to balance their energy so that they can, you know, the highs aren't so high, the lows aren't so low, but everything's amazing because you're at that higher energy frequency. So it's just like listening to the radio, right? You can't get the radio station in unless you're on the right frequency. It's the same thing with everything else in life and with people and what you attract. You're attracting what's on that same frequency that you are. So if you're on a lower vibrational frequency, you're going to attract low vibrational people into your life. Raise your vibration, attract more of what you want and better quality.
I want to be high vibration. Good vibrations for me. So how do you balance people?
Balancing energy is not that easy, to be quite honest with you. I have a 7-week online program that I actually created to help people repair their relationships. But what I do is I teach them how to get in touch with the soul, how the energy works, how the universe works, but how to balance their energy. And it is a process. It is work involved. It takes a few weeks to be able to learn. And some people do the program and still aren't able to balance their energy and have to do the program over again because it is a process. And once your energy shifts, you get that high. It's the highest high you can imagine, right? But if you don't balance it, you crash. So you have to learn what that balance. You have to learn what it feels like, quite honestly. And then you have to learn to practice certain things that keep your energy high. So for instance, most people don't realize that all the music that is on the radio is in the 400s. It's around 432 megahertz, which is a low vibration. And that was voted on in the 1940s worldwide. And why? Because it keeps people down, keeps them under control, keeps them like sheep. So if you want to raise your vibration, listen to something that's a higher vibration. And you'll have to search it out. You can go to like Rumble or YouTube or Pandora, and you can search higher vibration music. And that's what I listen to most of the time in my house, is a higher vibration music, so that I'm keeping that vibration high. And laughter and fun and joy and love, all those things raise your vibration.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So big question. Why are we here? And what are we supposed to be learning from being here?
So what I learned from doing my relationship mastery program, everyone that went through this program was here learning the same lessons. So the book that I recently wrote was based on that program, and it's all fair in love and karma. And we come here for a few different reasons. First of all, when you're on the other side, we reincarnate about every 350 to 400 of our years. Now, there are exceptions to everything, but that's the average. And time doesn't really exist, okay? We kind of created time here to control things a little bit, but that's about the average. And when you're on the other side for that kind of time, you don't have a body, you can't taste, you can't smell, you can't have sex. There's lots of things you can't do. So it's kind of like a little mini vacation. That's one of the reasons to come down here and have some fun, right? The other reason is to learn the lessons that your soul needs to advance on the other side. And the first lesson is self-worth. And it's not value, it's not self-value, because value is what other people place on you. Self-worth is the understanding that you're the only one of you in this whole world. How special are you? Even if you're a twin, you're not the same. You're different. Your parents can tell you apart. You like different things. You act differently. You're the only one of you in this whole world. You have a purpose here. You're that needed that you are the only one that's here. Mm-hmm. And it's not selfish or narcissistic to put yourself first. It's where everything else comes from. If you cannot take care of yourself, you cannot be here to take care of somebody else. It's that simple. The second thing that we need to learn is unconditional love. And unconditional love is not playing the martyr and saying, oh, I have to stay with him even though he beats me and verbally abuses me because I'm supposed to love him unconditionally. That's not what unconditional love is. First, it kicks in the self-worth again, because you have to love yourself unconditionally. And then it's the understanding that when you're with someone, it's like, listen, we had a good run. I love you. I care about you, but it's not working and it's not bringing us joy. It's time to go our separate roads and finish our journeys separately. That's simple. Another extreme of that would be, since we're all moms, right? We all have children. Suppose your child does something horrendous, like murdering a neighbor in a fit of rage, and they go to prison for the rest of their life. You don't like what your child did, but God, I hope you still love your child. That's unconditional love to the extreme. Then you have trust and communication. You have to be able to trust, first of all, that there is a higher power. And I can tell you there's only one. Doesn't matter what you want to call it. There is only one. And you have to understand and know that you created this plan. You're always exactly where you're supposed to be. Okay, we're always perfectly imperfect, and you're always where you're supposed to be. So don't have regrets, because it wouldn't have changed anything. You're always where you're supposed to be. But you have to be able to communicate your wants and needs to the other people in your life, or they're never going to know what you want or you need. That's, osmosis doesn't work that way. And you have to be able to trust the person you're with enough to be able to communicate with them. And then sex is just another form of communication. If you can't trust and communicate outside the bedroom, you're never going to be able to do it inside the bedroom. Then you have money and balance. So money is energy. People don't realize that. That's why it's called currency. And everything has to stay in balance in the universe, not just us. You have good and evil. You have up and down. You have right and left. You have sunrise and sunset. Everything has to stay in balance. So in our 3D world, money is the tool that's used to show whether or not you are in balance. There has to be an even exchange for everything. So you don't walk into the grocery store and plop down $1 million to buy a gallon of milk. Not yet, anyways. Because it has to be that even exchange. And before there was money, there was a barter system, and you can still use that as well, but it has to be that even exchange of energy. If it's for free, it has no value. When I first started my relationship mastery program, I was giving it to a couple of military vets for free. Do you know they didn't even do the program? It had no value to them. So I was gearing it towards people that were heading for divorce or in divorce or separation, because they're motivated to invest in themselves and do the work to make the change. And the results were just unbelievable.
Yeah, I've seen the same thing. So I'm a craniosacral therapist and I have a private practice as well. And I have seen the same thing about money where when I first started, certain people that like couldn't afford, I would give it really big discount or for free. Here's 3 sessions, just give it a try. Let's get you, because that's what you wanted. You just wanted them better, right? They did not do as well as the people who came in and just paid. And I see it
Yeah.
every time. Exactly when you said invest in yourself. But
Exactly.
I didn't never put it together with the exchange, the
Yep,
energy
has to
exchange that's
be that
happening.
equal exchange, absolutely. So don't
Interesting.
undervalue yourself either.
Yeah.
And my program, I only work with one person because it only takes one person to make or break a situation. I don't do couples. For
Mm.
every action, there's an equal or greater reaction. So when one person changes, the other person has no choice but to change. And the
Mhm.
results are just amazing. They're off the charts. So the other part of the money imbalance is if all you do is work, you work 80 hours a week, you're completely out of balance because, you're just earning all this money, but you have no time to spend with your family, your friends, or yourself, right?
Mhm.
And then if you're hoarding all that money and not spending it, now the lesson of self-worth kicks in because you don't value yourself enough to spend the fruits of your labor on yourself. So all of these lessons interact and reinforce each other. And the last lesson is patience. We live in a world right now of instant gratification and everybody wants everything now or yesterday. Text me now, answer me now, send me my Uber order now. It
Yeah.
doesn't work that way. Things come to you in the time that they're supposed to. Every five-year-old little girl wants to get married and have babies, right? She got her little baby doll. Wouldn't it be horrible if the stork started dropping real ones on her? It comes when it's supposed to come. And, what woman out there hasn't sat there and said, oh, my biological clock is ticking, right? I need to have babies now. Well,
Mhm.
maybe you wrote it in your plan that here you are at 50 years old and you're going to marry a widower that's a little bit younger and raise his children. You don't know what the plan was. You're not supposed to remember what the plan was, or it won't be any fun when you're here.
Mhm.
If you knew everything that was going to happen in your life in advance, you wouldn't get out of bed in the morning. It's that simple.
Mm.
Here to enjoy the ride, learn the lessons, and to help each other. People forget no one's an island. No one got where they are on their own. No one. Everyone has helped you somewhere along the road to get you to where you are. And it's why we're here. We're here to help each other. So we need to do more of that.
So here's a question. How do you trust the process? Because I think that's maybe where people get lost, especially myself, where yes, we want something now, but even if we're thinking, oh, it's going to happen or I'm putting it out there, whatever, how do you trust the process?
This is where faith comes in. And, to be honest with you, I was one of these people, I was brought up in a lot of different religions. My mother was searching and I was exposed to tons of them and I didn't believe any of it. I've always felt and known that there was a higher power. I was always very spiritual, even from a child. But I didn't believe in any of these angels or saints. I didn't believe in any of that stuff. Well, let me tell you something. When I died and I came back here, there's no denying it. They are all real.
Mhm.
And the first time that I was doing Reiki on a client, a choir angel came through and stood at the foot of the bed and filled the whole room.
Mm.
And thank God she's lying there with her eyes closed because I'm on the floor in tears listening to
Mm.
this message from this choir angel that I had no idea, you know, who it was or what it was until she gave me her name and I looked it up and I was freaking out. But they're all real. And when you meditate, so most people pray, right? When you pray, you're asking. When you meditate, you're getting your answers from the other side.
Mm.
And meditation is cumulative as well. So you may
Mhm.
not get the message immediately when you're meditating, but you may get it later in the day. You may get it the next day. So angels were never human. They're a completely separate race. Their entire existence is to help us. But there's rules everywhere, and their rule is they can't help you unless you ask. So when you ask, soon as you ask, they'll head over heels trying to get something to happen for you. But it's going to happen in the time that it's supposed to. Okay. And it has to be part of your plan. So let's say I want to hit the lottery. Okay. Well, maybe it's not the time. I may hit the lottery, but it may not be for $1,000,000. Now I'm going to put it out there. Okay, I want to hit the lottery for $1,000,000. Well, it may not come through the lottery with a scratch ticket. It may come some other way, I may end up getting a government contract that's going to pay me $1 million. I may end up getting an inheritance for $1 million. Whatever it is, they will make it happen when it's supposed to happen. And they're always working on it for you. So you just have to know that it will come in the time that it's supposed to come. And you always have to remember, it's not always about you. Say you're asking for the love of your life to come in. Well, the love of your life may still be working on learning self-worth. And do you really want him if he doesn't have self-worth? He's going to go out and sit at the bar every night and get drunk because he has no self-worth and he doesn't think anybody should love him because he's not lovable. You want him to learn that lesson before he comes to you. So that's what they're doing. They're preparing the things that you ask for and able to bring them.
I'm assuming that not every person is going to achieve this, right? Like not every person's going to achieve self-worth. Like maybe the love of my life who I'm waiting for, maybe he's not working on himself.
Well, and that's the sad thing. And, the program that I did teaches everyone their 5 lessons in 7 weeks. It doesn't take 7 years. It's a very intense program and it's a lot of work. It's a couple hours a day, but everyone learns their lessons. And when you do the work, you get the reward. That's how the universe works. So, you may have more than one love of your life that you've written into your plan. So if, Prince Charming A doesn't step up to the plate and learn his self-worth, you had a backup Prince Charming B that would be able to come in and fill those shoes for you. So there's lots of options that we write into our life plan. It's amazing how we do it. It's a lot of work before we come back down here again and reincarnate. A lot of work.
So as long as what I'm hearing, as long as you personally are doing the work, even though you have connections to other people who might be in your plan and they're not doing the work, you can still achieve things and you just need to be open because they may come in differently.
Exactly. Looking for the 6'1" guy that, he's a CPA and, a little mustache and, only child, and they bring you the guy that's 5'7" and he's going to sweep you off your feet, and he comes from a big family and it's totally unexpected and not what you were thinking, but it's exactly what you wanted. That's what they do. I mean, they're full of surprises. They love to surprise you. I can tell you story after story of stuff that I've asked for. And I mean, sometimes it's almost instantaneous is when, I get it so quickly. It's insane. It's insane.
Yeah. I like when that happens to me. I call it a universe gift. All of a sudden, like I ask for something, all of a sudden, like in the mail, something comes, or I meet something, or I drive through Starbucks and all of a sudden someone gifted me a coffee for no reason at all. And I'm like, oh, thank you, universe gift.
Exactly. And when you understand how the angels and the guides work, they talk in binary coded numbers and symbols. So if you're paying attention, you will recognize those, and that's the path you will take. But you have to understand it and recognize it. I was sitting in traffic one day and feeling bad for myself. And I'm like, geez, I haven't heard anything from you guys in a couple of days. It's like, really? I have no signs, no symbols, no nothing. And I did not move in traffic. I looked to my left and the telephone pole was 5656, which is 1111, which is a message from the angels, not to worry about anything and that they're bringing me what I asked for. I looked at the car in front of me had my initials on. Like, hello. And to the right, the mailbox had 333 on it, which is the ascended master's number, which means the highest of powers is working on delivering for me. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I just was not paying attention.
Wow.
And that's a problem. More often than not, we are not paying attention. And every number has a different meaning. It's like you see 1, 2, 3, 4 all over the place. 1, 2, 3, 4. What the heck is that? It means you are actually on the right path. Keep doing what you're doing.
Wow. Yes. I love this. Where can people find maybe those numbers and symbols? Where can they learn about those?
So my first book is A Night on the Other Side, and all my books, there's links to them on my website, JuneEdward.com. They are available everywhere, but sometimes they're hard to find. So the links are all right there to buy them. And that's everything that I used to teach in psychic development and mediumship development. So it tells you how to look things up and how to find things and what the numbers are and how the angels work and how to meditate properly, because most people don't even meditate properly. They don't protect themselves. They don't stay grounded, and they can cause a lot of more problems for themselves if they're not doing those 2 things as well. Great way, it's the fastest way to get in touch with your soul and raise your vibration is through meditation.
Yeah.
It gets you out of your head. because your head is nothing more than a computer, right? And your brain has a specific function. Your brain's function is to protect you. How does it do that? It does it by creating fear. So people are making their decisions based on fear. That's a crapshoot. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but you're always questioning yourself. When you make that decision from your soul, that's the knowing. And you just do it, and it works out fine every single time.
So you have been around, you know lots of people, both like on earth and not. So what is an overarching maybe message that you have kind of noticed throughout?
There's not enough love. There's just not enough love. You know, we're here living a 3D human experience. So if anyone that saw the movie Avatar, so Avatar is exactly what's happening here. You know, your soul, you know, kind of leaves more of your body at night when you're sleeping. And when you get up in the morning, the rest of your soul has come back to you. And you get up and you're playing a part in a 3D movie here is what you're doing. This is a movie. This is not your reality. Your reality is your soul inside, which continues on. There is life after life. And we don't have enough love and contact, you know, especially as we get older. I realized that with my own parents as they were aging. You know, my parents never gave me a hug or told me they loved me as a child because it wasn't how they were raised. They were German, they were very stoic, and they figured, you know, if you had a roof over your head, then you must know we love you. And, you know, when I was around 30, I told them both. I came from a very abusive upbringing. I told them both that I forgive them and I love them, and I gave them each a hug, you know, separately because they weren't together any longer. And each one of them just started bawling their eyes out because they don't get hugs. They don't get told that they're loved. And it's something that everybody needs. You know, I don't get off of a phone call, whether it's my children or my friends, without telling them that I love them. And it's a big joke with me and my friends. Tell your friends you love them, make it awkward. But it's so true. It's so true. And we don't, you know, we hug each other when we get there, and we hug each other when we leave. You know, you have to have more of that, more love and more contact. That's huge. It really is.
I'm a big hugger. I mean, my poor kids, and they are too, though. We hug at least 3 to 4 times a day, and they're teenagers. So it's like we are just always hugging for like overly lengths of time because we say our hearts are still talking to each other while we're hugging. But yeah, so I'm going to add to that. So like love, and also that you actually mean it, because I think you can also leave the house and go, love ya, you know, see ya. And I don't think that's the same thing.
Yeah, you want to make sure they know it.
Yeah. So if you can tell the listeners just one step that they can take today, something actionable that they can do to help harness this universe energy, this beauty, what should they be doing?
So one thing that they can do with, other than meditating, because that would be the first thing that I would tell everyone, learn to meditate. The directions are in every one of my books. There's also, you know, free webinar, free videos, all that stuff. But one thing that everyone can do in all their relationships, and try it, you're going to see how it makes a big difference. You don't know always what someone else is going through during the day. And many people get triggered very quickly, and they get triggered by questions. And it could be as simple as you walking in the house after work and saying to your significant other, hey, how was your day? What do you mean, how was my day? It sucked. You know damn well. Okay. They just go off on you. So instead of asking a question, turn it around and make it a statement. I hope you had a great day today. Now they got to stop for a second. Think, he hopes I had a great day. Did I have it? Well, I didn't really have a great day, but I suppose it could have been a lot worse. The whole thing changes. And you can try this with your boss. You can try it with your employee. You can try it with your children. It's amazing how it completely changes the dynamic and just, you know, it stops that whole animosity thing from going on.
Yeah.
When you change, they change.
Exactly. And if you're increasing their vibration by asking it differently or telling it differently, stating it, then all of a sudden that household vibration is higher and everyone's happier.
Yeah, exactly. They may have not have been very happy before you came home, and now that you asked it that way, they might be excited that you cared.
So where can the listeners find you?
I'm on all social media except for TikTok. I will not go on TikTok. I am on my website, which is JuneEdward.com, no S. There's a free webinar you can sign up for to learn how energy works. And then if you have interest in the program, you can schedule a call from there. You can watch lots of videos from my students that went through the program. There's plenty of podcasts that you can watch. You can schedule an appointment with me if you'd like for a reading. I do Akashic records, which are people's past lives. So a lot of times if you're having a problem in this life, you need to know where it's coming from. Why is it happening? And we bring things through from lifetime to lifetime. So it's unbelievable how that connection happens. And when you make the connection, the problem dissolves.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It has been really fun, very educational, and so interesting. And I definitely feel like my vibration is higher. I hope yours is too.
You look brighter.
Ah, yay!
Thank you for having me. I greatly appreciate it.